There's nothing wrong with being a gold digger. If you look at the history of marriage and the original purpose of marriage, it was so that both a man and a woman could gain something financially and economically. The elite would marry off their children so they can rule over more people, land, and acquire more resources. It was never about love. This is why when you get divorced, the court isn't really concerned with your feelings for each other, but more so how you all will split the assets. Marriage has always been about how much more assets you guys can accumulate together than apart. The real question is, why did it change from being about financial survival and power to love? Well, that's two things: propaganda and greed. In the late 1800s, the elites realized they could have more control over their masses if they convinced them to marry for love and romance rather than being strategic. For example, if a couple gets married right now, an economist will be able to predict how much they're going to spend on their wedding, their home, cars, and lifestyle before they even say I do. This type of predictability and control is what fuels our consumer-driven economy. Another reason is that marrying for love does keep people poor or right where they are. A couple who marries for love tends to be much more individualistic and not leave any generational wealth or obtain any significant power. And this is not my opinion or me saying this, it's just statistics. But those that marry for financial gain and asset accumulation are able to leave more of their wealth and investments down to their children, thus making their lineage wealthier for a longer period of time. This idea that you should marry solely for love was really a con to fuel the economy and keep the masses of people at the bottom. Now, my first sentence about being a gold digger was just clickbait. I don't think that women should solely be dependent on a man. I believe that you should have your own assets, access to capital and investments in your name. However you decide to get them is completely up to you. But we have to address the history of marriage, because one of the biggest financial mistakes that women make is marrying the wrong person.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and a few of you ladies that may be listening. This is Spiritual Art of War, back at it again with another episode. And as you saw in the clip, that's a clip I saw from TikTok, where a black woman, of course, the number one feminist on the planet, the haters of patriarchy, the ones that say that they don't need a man, they don't want a man to lead them, but they still be having their hand out to get resources, money, gifts from men that they do not want to follow. This woman herself said that marriage is about business. No, marriage became more about business in a capitalistic sense. And see, this is part of the reason why the black woman in America is hands down the worst partner on the planet. Men do not go out of their way to seek after the bulk of black women. In fact, the only thing that black women have to offer in America to men outside of America is a man to get a green card. That's it. There's no reason why men from other countries who have their own set of, their own financial stability would actually need to add such woman to their family. Because these women are always finding out a way to scam and scheme. And most black women will just go the route of trying to get money out of Uncle Sam. That is like the primary step. After that is trying to get child support from a gainfully employed man. Okay? And then step number 3 is trying to marry a gainfully employed man, be put on the policy for his life insurance policy, stress him out, hope that he dies and leaves behind the home after he done paid it off. And then she can go live her life on his dime. She's added to his 401k, his bank accounts, his savings accounts, so she can just live off of that. And trust me, I'm at an age old enough where I'm seeing women who are actually living off of the labor of their husband that passed away. And let me tell you something, most of these women, they don't shed a tear about those men. They don't. They actually feel that they're deserving of this. And they will, even if they get access to that money, they'll keep that stuff even from their own kids. They'll have a kid that's actually struggling, and they will nickel and dime every single little bit of money that was left behind because the father forgot to put, or a lot of times men will think that if they pass away, that their wives will do right by their children. And they don't know that this is the reason why men need a will, because you don't know if you have a will and you leave it behind to your wife and she passes away, you don't know if she's going to exclude your one or all your children from resources. You don't know that. And that's the reason why I'm telling you men right now, if you got a wife, you need to take that wife off your life insurance policy. If you got a child that that rocks with you for real, and that's holding you down, that's actually really there for you, you need to switch your life insurance policy to that child. And I'm talking about your child that's not greedy, does not need money, is not hooked on drugs, meaning they don't have the character that would make them want to do something like that, to take your life or whatever for the money. Okay? That's what you would need to do. You don't need to have it. If you're having any issues with your wife, if your wife is sometimey with you, disrespectful with you, you need to take that life insurance policy off of her and don't even tell her. If you have a kid that's grown, you let them know, hey, listen, you don't tell your mama this, because if you do, I'm going to have to take you off of it and probably put somebody else on it. So you keep this stuff to yourself. If something happens to me, this is how you're going to access this. I'm going to have you as a beneficiary on the accounts. You can split it. I'm going to have both of you on it as beneficiaries. You can split the accounts between you and your mom. But this policy or this and that needs to go to you. And that's how I'm doing it. Because, see, let me tell you something. These women, the love of money is the root of all evil. And women are moving according to the money. And they're more capable of doing it than men, because women have a different hardwiring, psychological hardwiring in their brain that can make them put up a facade of being with a man for years and decades that they don't really like, just because they see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They're willing to do that. They're willing to have a man that they don't find attractive sweating and laying on top of them and nutting inside of them, all for the money. Men don't move that way. There's nothing that Oprah can do that's going to make me excited to be with her, bro. Any of you guys out there that think you can just be like, y'all can just get excited over a woman like that, bro, y'all are crazy. Yeah, y'all got a bitch-made hardwiring. I'm going to just put it bluntly. Okay? That's why you don't see men going out and doing that type of stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's hard for a man to get excited. Our attraction level is so based off of mainly the physical attraction that it's hard for us to get aroused without having initial physical attraction. But women, they don't have that. Their arousal can be because the dude is famous, because the dude has money, okay? And they can get excited enough to be willing to lay with them, or they can submit their bodies for the sake of finances, for the sake of a lifestyle. That's why you see Rick Ross out here with a Jasmine Kendricks, who basically prefers to date white men. But she's out there with Rick Ross, who's overweight, and she clearly doesn't find him attractive. She's moving her face away. So she wasn't able to keep up the facade long enough for her to stay within the relationship to get anything out of him significantly in child or marriage. But some women are more capable than she is. So you got to understand that when you're talking about these women, they're teaching other women to view marriage as a business. You got women out here that are feminists talking about they want to be a stay-at-home wife. And then when they're a stay-at-home wife and they have a strict budget, when that man puts a strict budget on them and says, we can't go out to eat, we can't go out to travel, we can only travel once a year, and we're only going to travel domestically, and if we travel outside the country, it's going to be once every 3 years. If he sets a standard like that, they're upset. He's abusive. He doesn't want me to do anything. He doesn't care about me. They start calling that abusive. And then you become the villain at the end of the day. So this is why I say you need to embrace being the villain. You're going to be blamed for it when it goes wrong. If you're with a woman and she goes out and sleeps with various men and you've been only dealing with her, you've been taking care of her, you've been loving her, you've been protecting her, you've been providing, you've been planning for her, and she goes out and does that, you're still going to be viewed as the culprit. You're going to be viewed as the villain. You're going to be viewed as the enemy. So why not be ruthless? Why not hold on to your power and leverage at all costs? Yeah, you have to do that. And a woman who is going to want to be in your program, she ain't going to mind it, because she, at the end of the day, is going to feel that you're doing what's in the best interest for her as well. That's why I think that's one of the best ways to do it. If a woman's making money, make her put her money where her mouth is. If you know you talking to a woman and that woman works, she needs to be dropping money on you. If she's not dropping money on you, she don't really like you. She needs to be finding out what your shoe size is. She needs to find out that the new Jordans is coming out, the rare airs, and she needs to go ahead and cop them. She need to be doing something. Let me tell you something. There's women out there doing that. There's women out there, they're buying Hellcats, Scat Packs, Track Hawks for their man that they really like. They out there, when they get their money that they're making for whatever they do for business or work, these women are out there buying matching clothes for their man. They buying stuff. They going out and they find a nice Versace sweater and they're putting down $500, $1,000, and they want to take him out on a date. They want to put it on social media and show him how he got these nice Versace sweater that she bought, and she ain't gonna let them know that she bought it for him. He gonna wear it and you gonna think that he's drippy. You're gonna think that he's the one who got the bread. She ain't gonna let you know that about that because she looking at that man as one with her. So if she puts something on his body, it's like putting something on her body. So that's why you need to be more shrewd. And since women want to be in business, you need to be Scrooge McDuck. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next episode.